Intermittent fasting and longevity, what science says. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Vital Living. Intermittent fasting has become extremely popular over the past few years, not just for fat loss, but also for its potential effects on longevity and healthy aging. Many people claim that fasting can slow down aging, improve cellular repair, and even extend lifespan. But how much of this is actually supported by science? Today, I'm going to give you a detailed, honest breakdown of what the current research says about intermittent fasting and longevity. We're going to look at the mechanisms, the animal studies, the human studies, the potential benefits, and the limitations. This isn't going to be a hype video that claims intermittent fasting is a miracle for living longer. Instead, we're going to examine the evidence carefully so you can understand what's realistic and what's still speculative. So if you're interested in longevity and want to know whether intermittent fasting is actually worth doing for that purpose, stick around. Let's get into it. What is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting, is an eating pattern that cycles between periods of eating and fasting. Unlike traditional diets that focus on what you eat, intermittent fasting focuses on when you eat. The most common protocols include 16/8 method, 16 hours of fasting and an 8-hour eating window. 18/6 method, 18 hours of fasting and a 6-hour eating window. OMAD, 1 meal a day, eating all calories in one meal. 5-2 diet, eating normally for 5 days and restricting calories for 2 non-consecutive days. Alternate day fasting, fasting every other day. For longevity purposes, most of the discussion focuses on time-restricted eating, like 16/8, and how it affects cellular processes over time. Popular claims about intermittent fasting and longevity. People who promote intermittent fasting for longevity often make these claims. It activates autophagy, cellular cleanup. It improves insulin sensitivity and metabolic health. It reduces inflammation. It lowers mTOR and mimics calorie restriction. It can extend lifespan, based on animal studies. It improves mitochondrial function and reduces oxidative stress. These are interesting claims. Now let's look at what the actual science says. What animal studies show? Much of the excitement around intermittent fasting and longevity comes from animal research, particularly studies on rodents. Several studies have shown that various forms of fasting can extend lifespan in mice and rats. Some of the key findings include: time-restricted feeding improved metabolic health and extended lifespan in mice, even when calorie intake was the same as the control group. Fasting cycles have been shown to reduce markers of aging and improve stress resistance in cells. Some studies found that intermittent fasting provided similar benefits to calorie restriction, which is the most well-established intervention for extending lifespan in animals. However, it's important to note that results in animals don't always translate directly to humans. Mice and humans have very different metabolisms and lifespans, so we have to be careful when interpreting these findings. What human studies show? When we look at human research, the picture becomes more complicated. Most human studies on intermittent fasting have focused on weight loss, insulin sensitivity, and metabolic health rather than direct longevity markers. Here's what we currently know. Positive findings. Intermittent fasting can improve insulin sensitivity and reduce insulin levels. It often leads to fat loss, especially visceral fat, which is linked to better metabolic health. Some studies show reductions in inflammation markers. Time-restricted eating has been shown to improve some markers of cardiovascular health. Limitations. There are very few long-term human studies on intermittent fasting and actual lifespan. Most studies are relatively short, weeks to months, so we don't know the long-term effects. Many studies don't control for calorie intake, making it hard to separate the effects of fasting from simple calorie reduction. We don't yet have strong evidence that intermittent fasting extends human lifespan. In summary, intermittent fasting appears to improve several markers associated with better health and potentially longer life. But we don't have direct proof yet that it increases human lifespan. Key mechanisms. How intermittent fasting might affect longevity. Even without definitive lifespan data in humans, researchers have identified several biological mechanisms through which intermittent fasting might support longevity. 1. Autophagy. Autophagy is the process where cells clean out damaged components. Fasting is one of the strongest natural triggers of autophagy. This cellular cleanup is believed to play an important role in healthy aging. 2. Improved insulin sensitivity. Better insulin sensitivity is strongly linked to lower risk of many age-related diseases. Intermittent fasting can improve insulin sensitivity, even in relatively short periods of time. 3. Reduced inflammation. Chronic inflammation is a major driver of aging. Some studies show that intermittent fasting can reduce inflammatory markers in the body. 4. Lower mTOR activity. mTOR is a protein that promotes cell growth. While important for muscle building, constantly high mTOR activity is associated with faster aging. Fasting temporarily lowers mTOR, which may have longevity benefits. 5. Mitochondrial health. Some research suggests that fasting can improve mitochondrial function and reduce oxidative stress, both of which are important for healthy aging. These mechanisms are promising, but most of the strong evidence still comes from animal studies or short-term human trials. Potential benefits versus limitations. Let's be honest about what we know. Potential benefits supported by current evidence. Improved metabolic health. Better insulin sensitivity. Fat loss, especially visceral fat. Reduced inflammation. Possible cellular repair benefits through autophagy. Simpler eating patterns for some people. Limitations and unknowns. We don't know if intermittent fasting extends human lifespan. Long-term adherence can be difficult for many people. It may not be suitable for everyone, especially women with hormonal issues, underweight individuals, or people with certain medical conditions. Much of the benefit might simply come from eating fewer calories overall, rather than the fasting itself. Who might benefit and who should be careful? Intermittent fasting may be more beneficial for people who are overweight or have poor metabolic health. People who naturally prefer fewer, larger meals. Those looking for a simple way to control calorie intake. People who should be more cautious include women with menstrual irregularities or hormonal issues. People with a history of eating disorders. Underweight or very lean individuals. Pregnant or breastfeeding women. People with certain medical conditions should consult a doctor. Practical recommendations for longevity. If you want to try intermittent fasting with longevity in mind, here are some practical suggestions. Start with 16/8, 16 hours fasting. 8-hour eating window, rather than more extreme protocols. Focus on food quality during your eating window. Fasting doesn't cancel out poor nutrition. Don't make fasting extremely stressful. Chronic high stress can be counterproductive for longevity. Consider combining intermittent fasting with other proven longevity habits: sleep, exercise, stress management, social connection. Be flexible. You don't need to fast every single day to get benefits. How intermittent fasting compares to other longevity interventions. When we look at the current evidence for longevity, here's how intermittent fasting compares to other interventions. Calorie restriction still has the strongest evidence for extending lifespan in animals. Intermittent fasting may offer some similar benefits with better adherence for some people. Exercise. One of the most powerful longevity interventions we have. Resistance training and Zone 2 cardio both have strong evidence. Sleep. Extremely important for longevity and often overlooked. Social connection and purpose. These have surprisingly strong effects on lifespan and healthspan. Intermittent fasting can be a useful tool, but it's probably not as powerful as consistent exercise, good sleep, and strong social relationships. Realistic expectations. If you're considering intermittent fasting for longevity, it's important to have realistic expectations. It can improve metabolic health and may support cellular repair processes. It's unlikely to be a game changer on its own for extending lifespan. The biggest benefits probably come when it's combined with other healthy habits. Individual results vary significantly. Some people feel great doing it, while others feel worse. Final thoughts. Intermittent fasting is an interesting tool that shows promise for improving metabolic health and possibly supporting some of the cellular processes associated with healthy aging. However, the evidence that it meaningfully extends human lifespan is still limited. The strongest benefits we currently see are related to insulin sensitivity, fat loss, and simplicity of eating patterns. The more dramatic longevity claims are mostly based on animal research and mechanistic studies, not long-term human data. If you enjoy intermittent fasting and it fits well into your lifestyle, there's probably no harm in continuing, as long as you're doing it safely and eating nutritious food. If you don't enjoy it or it causes stress, you're not missing out on a critical longevity intervention by not doing it. At the end of the day, longevity is built on many factors: sleep, exercise, nutrition quality, stress management, and social connection all play important roles. Intermittent fasting can be one tool among many, but it's unlikely to be the most important one. If you want help deciding whether intermittent fasting makes sense for your specific situation, or if you have questions about how to implement it safely, just let me know in the comments. Also, if you have any questions about anything I covered in this video, drop them below. I read pretty much every comment. If this video helped you get a more balanced view of intermittent fasting and longevity, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. We post new content every week about fitness, biohacking, longevity, and building a healthier life. Thanks for watching. Guys, I appreciate you. Focus on the fundamentals, use tools like fasting wisely. And I'll see you in the next one.